Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, Tuberville releases his taxes. Also, the Supreme Court reverses itself. And ALGOP has changed its mind. It's going to hold formal hearings on Tuberville's residency issue.
Yes.
Yes. I think perhaps you'd better both come inside.
Oh, hold on to your seat, folks. It's going to be a scary ride. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by Susan Britt, research guru extraordinaire, and the one and only Josh Moon, investigative reporter and columnist at APR, and dad and father. No, it's
No, I think
anniversary.
you're right. You're right. It's dad and father. Yeah.
Dad and father and husband of the year.
Ah, yes.
9
yes.
years.
Just had an
You and
anniversary.
Steph, 9 years,
That's
man.
right.
It's
That's right.
wow.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations. If you make it 37, you'll be in my shape.
Steph will
We're
beat
headed
me
that
to
way.
death
We're
by
headed
then.
that way.
All right, good luck. Susan, Josh, this has been one of the stranger weeks in Alabama
That's an
politics. And
understatement.
over the last 20 years or so, we've seen some strange stuff, but this week takes the cake. We start off just a month ago, the Alabama Republican Party heard a challenge to Tommy Tuberville's residency from Ken McFeeters. Well, they said, no, he's a resident. No question about it. Boom, it's over with, right? Then last week, they changed their mind as if something had changed. And someone said, well, McFeeters came with a better, stronger argument. And I was like, what did he do? Go to ChatGPT and do this? Because he hadn't had a lawyer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, they have reversed themselves and are now, Susan, going to have a formal hearing to the challenge of McFeeters and Tuberville's residency.
Yeah, they're going to hold it on June the 13th or 14th at Bosch and Bingham offices and present all this evidence. The question here is, are they really seriously questioning his residency, or is this just show for later when he's going to get sued by the Doug Jones campaign? That's obviously going to happen. But, are they really serious about this or not? I'm not sure. I'm not really sure that they are.
Josh, it does bring the question, and you ask it in one of your columns, why now?
Mm-hmm.
What changed that they would act? And I just tend to not believe this because McFeeters had a better argument.
It's I have some doubts as well, and I think those doubts are raised most significantly by the fact that this surprise announcement by the ALGOP that we're going to have this hearing all of a sudden within hours. The Tuberville camp has got evidence out the wazoo presented and turned over. It was almost as if someone knew that this surprise was coming.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say that the ALGOP folks and the executive / candidate committee are all in cahoots with the Tuberville campaign, but maybe somebody tipped their hand. Okay, maybe somebody tipped the hand that this was coming, and out plops a whole bunch of evidence, tax returns, and all these other things that the Tuberville camp's now going to present in a public forum. out, to McFeeders, and I will say too. Now, I don't think the Doug Jones campaign is going to sue Tommy Tuberville.
No, I don't either.
I think it's going to be, the challenge is going to come from residents in the state, is where I think that challenge is going to come from. But,
my mistake.
Yeah, there's
mistake.
definitely one coming. No matter who it comes from, there's definitely one coming.
Well, there's two possibilities here in my mind. One is that they sincerely had a change of heart and want to hear this more directly. Now, I know that's a stretch. Or the other is that they want to have a show trial so that they can put forth evidence when the real trial comes. And they can say, well, we've already settled this issue. But I still think, and Josh and Susan, you're an accountant, you know this stuff. I mean, you look at the tax filings that he brought forward after all of us have asked him to bring forth these tax records. All of a sudden, he releases tax records all the way back to 18. And you know what? They raised more questions than I would have wanted my tax records to raise.
And I know we'll get into this more in the next segment, but oh my God, what a show on these tax returns. It's just, they look made up. They absolutely look made up. They're not signed. There's all kinds of problems in the way they were, the consistency of them, the fact that, he, said that he was a resident here since 1st of August on 2018, and then voted in Florida. And there's a lot of problems that we need to dig deeper into than we've got time for now.
I mean, no, Josh, I think this is the part of the heart of this thing, is that why did he hold on to the records for so long when he could have cleared this up a year ago?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a question. I mean, this thing has floated around for a long time, and look, and they can be dismissive if they like about, oh, this was never an issue for us or whatever. But it didn't matter if it was an issue for you. It was an issue for voters, and anybody running a campaign of this nature. When things would have gotten to the point that they did with this residency issue, somebody would have said, like, guys, we need to do something to counter this. Because there are a lot of people that even today, they've let it get to the point where I think a lot of people have made up their mind one way or the other. Even on the Republican side, I think there's a lot of folks over there who made up their mind one way or the other about whether or not he lived in Florida or was a resident of Alabama and could meet the requirements. And it was because if you had these tax returns and they just sat on them. So there has to be a reason why they did so. I mean, maybe it is the 2018 deal where basically it looks like he committed voter fraud. By being a resident of Alabama and continuing to vote in Florida. I don't know. I'm not even accusing him of voter fraud. I've said it looks like that is the case. But there's got to be a reason why that they set on these things for this length of time.
Let me make something really clear here in these tax returns. I can go create those tax returns right now. I can go to the IRS, their website, irs.gov, and I can download a 2018, a 2019, 2020, and recreate those. That doesn't mean they were filed.
Yeah, well, I don't want to accuse anybody of
I'm not
falsifying
accusing
tax
anybody.
records.
No.
I'm just saying that that's
listen,
possible.
We're going to have to leave it right here. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
Your property is your home, your investment, and your legacy. Across the country, scammers are filing fraudulent deeds, often without the owner knowing until it's too late. REACT is a free alert system. If a document is filed using your name or tied to your property, you'll be notified within 24 hours.
Property fraud is a crime, and the faster we know it, the faster we can act.
Sign up today. Protect your property, protect your legacy.
Alabama has a hands-free driving law, and that means you can't hold your mobile phone while making a call. Oh, and no writing messages, recording, or watching videos either. Plus, you can only use a single button or swipe of a finger to answer a call. So what's a driver to do? Alabama's hands-free driving law is in effect. Follow it.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. Susan, I didn't mean to cut you off here, but
No.
I think I understand exactly what you're saying. I'm sure our viewers understand. What we don't know is what we don't know. I feel
Right.
like Donald Rumsfeld here. But Josh, one of the things we do know, and that he claims he's lived in a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house with his wife, grown son, since 2018. I mean, which that's possible. Instead of living in a $4 million beachfront mansion. I mean, it seems hard to reconcile that with it. Now, they're going to say this was a temporary resident or vacation home or all that. But there's several problems with the Florida residency. And you brought up one that's really a problem. They just go into the fact of the tax records and the voting records.
Yeah, so the taxes themselves, and look, I think at this point, we have to take them until something else comes out. We have to take them at face value here, and face value is, look, these are his tax returns. Okay, they plopped them out there until somebody proves otherwise. We have to treat them that way. And on those tax returns, it says, that he was a resident of Alabama August 1st, 2018, for the first time, and then in November of that same year, 2018. He is voting in Florida. Not just him, but his wife as well. His wife in 2018 and son, for the first time, claimed a homestead exemption on the home in Auburn that they're claiming as their residence. Then she votes in Florida as well in November. That voter registration stayed active until 2020 in Florida and never changed. That's a huge problem. Another big problem there is, and they make this case that, it's just a vacation home, whatever. Well, but other times he told people this is his residence. This is where he was living. He told the state of Florida, this is where I'm living now. And look, you can switch back and forth. There's nothing illegal about that. And it's perfectly within the law. And so nobody's claiming anything else. But the idea that it's ludicrous for someone to say, well, I think you're living in Florida because that's your residence. And no, that's my beach house. Well, you claimed it as your residence for a period of time,
Right.
And so it's natural for people to think that. So I think those voting records and tax records are going to have to be explained because, like I said, it sure looks like he committed voter fraud by voting in that Florida election and claiming residency in Alabama at the same time.
Well, here's where I've got an issue. He came in 2017. He came on and said, I'm putting down my whistle. I'm retiring at the beautiful beachfront house in Florida, right?
Right.
He did that in 2017. Then Suzanne Tuberville registered in Florida and to vote in 2017. She also registered as a real estate agent in 2017. This looks to me like a couple retiring, and she takes up real estate. By the way, on the tax returns from 2018 through 2025, they list her as a homemaker. Like I'm saying, there's just some things.
And again, we are not accusing the Tubervilles
Certainly
of any
not.
wrongdoing.
No,
what
I'm
we're
just saying, I'm
is
just pointing out
their
inconsistency.
records
Yeah.
bring up evidentiary problems. And
It's inconsistencies that bother me.
the other thing is Alabama law does not, residency is not the issue at hand here. He has to actually live here for 7 years prior to the election, right?
Yeah.
But in Alabama law, in case after case after case, and Josh, you proved this with David Cole, it has to be domicile. In other words, where it's residency means domicile, your fixed abode. And
Where do you keep
this
your
is-
CPAP
Yeah.
machine?
Yeah.
You
Right.
know,
It's a whole collection of things, all right, and that's what they're going to try to get to in maybe in the hearing, but for certain in the legal case that we'll be following. There, where did he spend most nights? Where are his primary possessions. Where's his doctor? Where's his dentist? Where do you where do you get your truck serviced? Where do all these things are kind of part of that record that goes into that. I'll say this though, and I said it in a column this week. Those tax returns are a problem for the other side, for the people arguing against Tommy Tuberville. Because
I agree.
If he paid those, and those are all legit, and he paid them in the years in which they are supposed to be paid, then they're very, very tough to overcome, because you've got a person who is has a job that often takes him away from home. And we also know that he has a residence on the beach that he loves to go to and spend a lot of time at, which if I had a $4 million house, people would never see my ass again. But I mean, it's, but so you've got to reconcile it, and it's going to be very hard to do that, especially when you're in this situation and the judges are already inclined to say, listen, the voters can decide this. There's no reason for us to get involved. Okay. So those tax returns matter a whole lot. Now they raise a bunch of questions. They do raise a bunch of questions about other problems, but in terms of residency, if they're all legitimate and everything is above board with them, and again, we got to take that at face value for right now, because there's been no evidence otherwise presented.
Right.
That it's a big problem and a big win for Tuberville.
And if that's the case, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Run the race, man. Let's gear it up and run this race. Let's do it.
But this evidence was never supplied to the media, so we had every right to criticize, because if they've had it, and it appears they have, all this time, they didn't release it to anybody. But one thing I do think for certain is they're trying to build an evidentiary case with the ALGOP, so that when a legal challenge is made in court in Montgomery, they say, look, we have got a record of what was submitted to the party, and the party accepted this as I am a resident and I am qualified. And that's going to go a long way. And Josh, I think you hit that, and Susan, you've hit that too. That will go a long way in court.
Yeah.
For them to say, well.
I think it will go a long way. However, there's still going to be other matters out there that they're going to pick and prod about. And one of them is going to be, when they want the records of when these taxes, they want the actual tax returns themselves, the records of when they were paid, all of that stuff. And again, if all of that comes back clean and everything is above board, then I think the residency case is in real jeopardy.
Yeah. And look, if it is, so
be it.
Yeah.
All
right. You're watching the Voice.
It's a fun story.
Yeah. You're watching the Voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
Your property is your home, your investment, and your legacy. Across the country, scammers are filing fraudulent deeds, often without the owner knowing until it's too late. REACT is a free alert system. If a document is filed using your name or tied to your property, you'll be notified within 24 hours.
Property fraud is a crime, and the faster we know it, the faster we can act.
Sign up today. Protect your property, protect your legacy.
Alabama has a hands-free driving law, and that means you can't hold your mobile phone while making a call. Oh, and no writing messages, recording, or watching videos either. Plus, you can only use a single button or swipe of a finger to answer a call. So what's a driver to do? Alabama's hands-free driving law is in effect. Follow it.
Welcome back to the Voice of Alabama politics. Another strange thing that happened this past week is that the United States Supreme Court.
Well, that's a nice way of saying it.
Came in and contradicted themselves on several statements and rulings. They had ruled that the 2023 maps that the Republicans wanted to use in 2024 were racially diluting the black vote, that the courts found that they intentionally gerrymandered to hurt black voters, and the court originally agreed with them back in the day, right? Just 3 years ago.
Back in the day. It's like
3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Right.
These last few political years have been very long, Josh.
And political
this
years,
week.
that's back in the day.
This week has
Then,
been really
then
long.
they come in this past week on Tuesday and go, well, we're not saying that, you know, the decision in Allen was wrong. What we're saying is, well, we've changed the rules. It's something that you could not explain to your child. You couldn't explain it to a 70-year-old. That it'd be like saying, well, yeah, we made you a promise, but now we're changing the conditions.
I can do it. I can do it because I can.
It's hard to do, folks. It's hard to do.
To my child. I can explain to my child why this bullshit that she's feeding me is wrong. Okay, that's what I would do, because it's only a child would come up with. Listen, I know I said this, but now I'm going to say this because it's what I really want to happen right now, because this is what I really want. And so, and then as a parent, you would say, no. We know the truth. The truth is this. We said this to begin with, okay? We're not going to change it just because this is what you really want to happen, because that's wrong. That wouldn't be right. It would be unfair to these folks who you said you were being unfair to, right? And we don't want to do that. You wouldn't want somebody to treat you that way, would you? That's how we do it, okay? And now apparently this is how we're going to have to start talking to Republicans from now on, because they're all a bunch of damn children, okay? I mean, it is unbelievable, the absolute amount of horse pucky that I have heard from this side of the aisle over this. Well, no racism, no more racism in voting maps. Listen, dummies, all right? That's the whole reason for all this, is because of your racism, all right? The racism that didn't allow us to have a single congressional representative of color for however many hundreds of years, and we still wouldn't have one if we left it up to you to just draw the maps. But the court come in and said, hey, you got to have some representation for everybody. It's got to kind of look like the demographics of your state, somewhat. And so you fought like hell against that, and now that's what you're still doing. So stop acting like this is some righteous move or whatever. It's not.
Well,
it's you being racist again.
This Supreme Court, the Roberts Court, has diluted, let me use that word, diluted the Voting Rights Act to the point where you can partisan gerrymander where it looks like you're absolutely diluting black votes. But unless you can prove that the intent was to dilute black votes, then Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act doesn't apply.
That's fucking. It's because this is the other part of this thing. Okay, this is the other part of this. They pretend like there's some noble reason behind this. Okay, it's not. Oh no, it's not racial gerrymandering. We're just partisan gerrymandering. So you're cheating. That's your goal. That's your excuse is, oh, no, listen, I didn't mean to be racist towards you. I was just trying to cheat, okay? I just wanted to cheat, not be racist. And there's no nobility to this at all right? You wanted to cheat to win. You didn't care that you were going to disenfranchise black voters. And so here we are.
I tell you where this is going to get interesting. Can they get it done in time? They told the courts previously it's going to take 3 to 4 months to be able to do this. You're talking about reassigning 600,000 voters, getting 600,000 voters notified at a new polling place or a new polling date in August.
No.
And will they actually be able, and just for
No,
fun,
they're
my
just going to
scenario.
notify the white ones. They're just going to notify the white voters. I mean,
my fun scenario is they can't get it done. They end up with, no Republicans on the ballot. So they cut out one Democrat because of these maps and end up with 5 new ones.
Well, I mean, and Justice Sotomayor said this is going to create chaos because they told us they didn't have time to institute these maps under, several months, and now they want to do this.
The same ones that said that, a few years ago that you can't make any changes 6 months before an election. Here we are.
And I've got to get into this. I just wrote a series for APR on the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment and how that fundamentally changed the Constitution of the United States. Some people refer to it as the second Constitution. We don't have a lot of time. But Alabama was at the center, Josh, of disenfranchising black voters under the 14th and 15th
And we are
Amendment.
again.
For hundreds of years, it was illegal for them to do what they did, but they did it anyway, and the courts agreed with them so many times over these ridiculous things that it looks like when they say originalism, they mean originalism before black voters had any rights. I mean, it really looks like that to me.
Well, there was some conversation about doing away with the 14th Amendment a few weeks back. I think we're on the way. We're on the way to doing so. It just is. It's depressing. It's depressing to see this rollback of rights. It's depressing to see so many people get on board with it simply for winning elections. It's depressing to know that so many people are okay. Knowing this full history, knowing what we've done, knowing how people suffered and how hard they fought and what all has happened, to with such glee do this again and take it away. It's really kind of depressing. It really is.
Well, when people feel like freedom itself is being narrowed, and that the idea of citizenship and equal protection is being narrowed by this court. But before we go today, I want to remember Judge John Amari, great man, both in politics and in the judicial system. And he meant a lot to the state, and millions of people in the state are better off because of him. And we want to remember his passing and his contribution to the state. He will be missed.